Hey everybody, Dark Side's Elite again. Here to make another review for Dark Phoenix. I watched that movie a couple of days ago, and here's my gut reaction to this movie. It's bad. Okay, it's they they did something, and I know that something must happen because because the beginning of the movie made sense to me about what they did and how they got to a certain point. But then the ending made no sense. It just completely, to me, it just went completely left field. I felt there was a lot more, and then they just completely shrank it down. Um, I think that they did take elements from The Last Stand and they put it in this movie. I also did feel that they neutered um, Phoenix. I also know that they neutered the story that they could have told between Scott, Jean, Xavier, and even Magneto. I felt that um, Jessica, not Jessica, Jennifer Lawrence was useless in this movie. She didn't need to be in this movie. She in all terms she phoned it in. She did not want to be there. She just did this. She just did this because she was contractually agreed to do it. Um, and it shows. It shows so bad, and it just makes me feel like this type of actress does not deserve to be in any of these type of movies again. She doesn't, because if she's not willing to give 100% to this role, then why the hell should I waste my time watching it? I think that James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, they were phenomenal. They played their parts exactly how they've been playing these parts all the way back since First Class. Um, but I don't know. I don't understand. I truly do not understand why Jennifer Lawrence is in this movie. She completely phoned it in. I couldn't believe her character. I felt that she came in and rewrote a couple of lines to make her seem like she's this um what's the word? She's like this figure that can actually tell Xavier about morality issues. And I'm like, but you're a shapeshifter. I mean, you flipped a lid and almost tried to kill somebody because you were tired of um being you were tired of hiding yourself. And I'm like, okay, it to me it felt like they were going straight and all of a sudden it just went completely left field. I truly do believe that Disney came in and screwed something up. I think that the Fox merger screwed something up, but the movie is not that good. In certain elements, it's good, but in other elements, it's not that good. I think that for a movie, it was decent. It was it was above mediocre, but as a comic book movie, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of this. Uh, I uh, I think it's better than Captain Marvel, way better than Captain Marvel. However, they didn't unlike Captain Marvel, they didn't take an S all over everything. They basically did everything they possibly could to try to tell a good, coherent story. But Captain Marvel just took an S all over everything. They didn't give two S's. They just took an S, a good hot S all over the whole Captain Marvel mythos. But they did not do that in this movie. They try to tell a Dark Phoenix story of showing how did Jean Grey fall so down into the muck of getting into start reveling in her powers that she became this obscene force. Sorry about that. She became this obscene force against her own friends and family, and I think they did a good job on that part. I think Sophie Turner did a really good job doing the character. Um, I think that they really missed the mark by not having the Hellfire Club. I think that having the Hellfire Club into this movie would have really amped it up. I think by bringing back Sebastian Shaw and saying that that guy never died, that basically all they did was slow him down, that he wasn't truly dead. All it took was blank, and they brought him back to life. And or you could have said that Apocalypse did it. It, it who's gonna say that didn't happen? Because they could have been an off-screen situation that happened. Um, um, you could have had Celine do it. She brought him back. You could have, again, you could have brought in the Hellfire Club. You could have had them come in and try to get her, try to bring her into the fold, and you have Xavier and Magneto going, we got to kill this guy. We truly have to kill Sebastian Shaw, and that would have been really cool. In my personal opinion, I know how people feel about Jessica Chastain. I think a lot of people say she's a great actress, but in this movie, she was useless. She was terrible. Her character was her character was an alien, but she did not feel like she wanted to be there either. She felt very, very bland. She felt so bland that it took you out in certain scenes. Like, she was trying to have her revel in her powers, but she's talking to her very monotone and very detached. And I'm like, that's to me that's weird. Then you kind of find out that she actually wants Jean Grey to revel in her powers so she can manipulate Jean so she can get her powers. Um, but that's not how the Phoenix works. And then now that's not how it works. And they turn the Phoenix into this life and death energy, and I'm like, that's not how the Phoenix is either. So like I said, it's great on some things, but it's terrible on others. The true positives of the movie is they did a really, really good job with Xavier. They showed that he does have his own little dark natures. However, um, for however good he does, there's always a price, and there's always a negative to it. I'll get into it just a little bit about what some of the things he did. But the other thing is, I love what they did between Scott and Jean. They showed that Scott loves her. He loves her to death. He will do whatever he can for her. And I like how they did it. Ty Sheridan, to me, was a very, very well believable Scott Summers. Um, it, as much as I hate Apocalypse, I still don't want to watch that movie. I don't want to watch a butchering of one of my favorite X-Men villain. I don't want to watch a butchering of it. I can't. I can't. So I know people are gonna feel like that I'm giving a review about a movie and I'm not watching the prequel to it, but it's like I can't. If I'm gonna hate a villain in a movie and I can't watch it, I can't watch something like that. That is a to me it was a disgrace of the character. It didn't fit. Okay, but another positive they did is I liked Nicholas Hoult playing Beast. He was a great Beast. I think that him having the grief and the anger about what was going on was very, very well done. I think that it was a very brooding situation that was happening, and I really, really wish they introduced Sinister. I think that Sinister would have been a great villain for them to deal with in Dark Phoenix. They could have did it. To me, it felt like they that Fox got the raw end of the deal. They got the massive screwball of the deal. Um, Dark Phoenix could have been not their end game, but it could have been in the same league as end game. They could have ended that X-Men line very strong. They could have done such great things, and because they decided to take Disney's deal instead of really thinking about, like, wait a minute, what the heck were we doing here? Now you got a movie that basically you guys spent so much time in, and you got all these great actors and actresses into this franchise, and regardless of how a lot of fans feel, especially since the first X-Men movie, that you guys basically you started the superhero team up. You started it with the X-Men, and the first movie was really good. I liked it. The second movie was actually really good. I liked it. The third movie was hot trash. I didn't like it. The X Wolverine Origins was decent. I was okay with it. The Wolverine, trash. Okay, it was trash. First Class was phenomenal. I loved it. They did the first 5 X-Men, but They didn't do the original first five. They didn't do Iceman. They didn't do Iceman, Marvel Girl, Jean Grey, Scott Summers, Strong Guy, which was Beast, and Warren Worthington. They didn't do the original five. They did another set. I felt that First Class should have been their complete reboot to do the original five X-Men and have it go against Magneto and hopefully him building the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants with Raven, but they went in this weird direction. Um, I say it's weird. I mean, it is weird, but I still liked it. Um, and then we got Days of Future Past. Blew my mind. I actually love that movie. I actually really liked the movie. It was completely departure from the original source material, but it was still a damn good movie. They hit a lot of the emotional beats. Uh, X-Men Apocalypse, hot trash. If you're gonna screw up in Nur, the first recorded mutant, Apocalypse, and you had to CGI the actor to make him look bigger than he normally is, then you screwed up. I'm sorry, you screwed up. Listen, I have nothing against Oscar Isaacs. I think he's a great actor himself, but he just should not have been this character. He should have said, "No, I'm not going to do this character because I'm not the right build for that character." But a lot of actors are going to try to take the role because they want to sink their teeth into it. There's nothing wrong with that, but they should be open up for criticism to say you were not the right person for this role. You were not the right height. You had the wrong facial features. You didn't look like the character, and you made the guy look like a Party City version of Ivan Ooze, and it was terrible. And then his speeches were, there was no thunderous to him. There was no grand gesture to who he is, and it's like that's Apocalypse. He's supposed to be that guy that makes you feel like there is more, and they didn't do that. Now, now with this movie, Dark Phoenix, they ended on a flat note. They ended up very, very badly. It to me, and I'm a pretty big X-Men fan. It just, to me, it just did not feel like X-Men. It felt like that Disney, not Disney, I'm sorry. It felt like Fox just, they knew that this was coming. They had a feeling that they were going to get bought by Disney, and they knew they wanted to get bought by Disney, which I don't know why, but they decided to completely screw up Simon Kinberg's movie. And this was his directorial debut. This is his first directorial movie, which he wrote a lot of other X-Men stuff for. So it's not like he doesn't know the characters. He does know the characters. He wrote a lot of the screenplays and such for him. He wrote Last Stand. So what? I mean, it doesn't mean that he does not know the characters, and he knew what type of story he wanted to tell. He wanted to tell a very dark story, and I was perfectly fine with that. And it just personally feels like that Fox intentionally screwed this movie up so so Marvel can actually get their big end crescendo with Endgame. That's my opinion. That's my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's true, and you can disagree with me on that. That's perfectly fine. But this should have been their Endgame. This should have been the X-Men's Endgame, dealing with a fallen friend, a fallen ally, into a fall of decadence into her power, and that would have been a great way to end that trilogy. And then we would have gotten the new mutants, and who knows if that movie's gonna come out? And it's like, are you kidding me? So, to me, I feel that X-Men, that Dark Phoenix, is such a disappointment that it just really upsets me that that James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, even Sophie Turner and Ty Sheridan, Alexandria Shipp, all these people. Screw Jennifer Lawrence. She didn't even want to be in Days of Future Past. She phoned that whole movie in too. Screw her. But that all these actors and all these actresses, they put their hard-earned time and give 100% of their lives to these roles, and they were giving, and the end result of this was a whisper. It wasn't a thunderous end to a for McAvoy and Fassbender, this is a five movie. This is five movies for them. This is their fifth movie with these characters, and I believe that Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy, they gave 1,000% for these characters. They know how treasured they are to the audience, and they want to give it to to the audience. And it upsets me that this had to happen. But that's one of the negatives. The biggest negative I kind of felt about the movie, and it's just a personal critique of what they were building from the very beginning of the story. I didn't like how they were dumping on Charles Xavier, and I'm trying not to. I don't want to spoil it, but there's parts in the movie where you're looking at the situation and you're going, but there's nothing else that could have been done. You're talking to Charles Xavier, who took this little girl in over a bad situation. I don't want to get into what happened, but a bad situation. Her powers manifested, and situations happened, and things happen, and it could scar a person for the rest of their lives. So you're telling me that if he told her the truth about what happened with her powers and what manifested because of it, that she'd be the same person that she is now? No. She'd be changed. She would be scarred for the rest of her life. She would not be the way she is now. She would be very off-putting. She would not want to use her powers. She wouldn't be open to want to be with the X-Men. She would be like, no, I don't want to do this. She would be holding back her real power. And that's what Jean did in the comics. She held back what she truly could do with her powers until much later when she got inhabited by Phoenix. And to me, I feel that was a massive disservice that they all dumped all over Charles. Like he's the true bad guy in this. I go, no, Now there's a lot of things that could have been said. You could have said, okay, well, I know in the heat of the moment you did what was right, but the question is, here's the question that needs to be answered. Would you have told her what happened? And if he tried to give this worldly answer that made you feel like he was never going to tell her, then yeah, he's a dirtbag. He's a scumball. But if he tries to make it sound like I need her to be comfortable with her powers and being able to withstand that level of scrutiny, then yes, I would tell her. But at this present point in time, no, she's not ready for that. She's still budding. She's still growing. And letting her know this, it would actually scar her powers for the rest of her life. And now for a telekinetic and for a telepath of her power, if she's scarred, that's it. There's nothing else that could be done with it. It would tremendously screw up what she can, all the progression that she can make. And that's what the same thing goes for Charles. Charles has to hold back a lot of his own personal selfish wants and needs because he has to keep that all in check, or he would just go nuts with his powers. We've seen it. We saw it before. And anybody who's not a telekinetic or a telepath, they can't understand that. That's why Magneto says to Charles that you're worse than I am. And what's evil about it is that you hide it behind your self-gratitude and your self-platitudes as you're the good guy, and you proclaim me as the bad guy. And that's always been the paradigm between Charles Xavier and Magneto. That and Charles can't really say nothing negative about that because in a way he's right. He does proclaim Magneto as the bad guy, but he doesn't realize that he's just as bad as him because he's using these children. He's using them as a personal army, and he's trying to use them as a personal army to say we're just and we're right, and this and this and this. And he's putting them in dangerous situations when that shouldn't be the case. Some of them might not want to do that. So, but yeah, I want to try to make this short, but it's going on about 20 minutes now. But Dark Phoenix to me is a bad movie. Not terrible. I think that Sophie Turner did a really great job. She really killed it as Jean Grey and as Phoenix. Michael Fassbender, don't have nothing negative about what he has to say. He was perfect. Same goes to James McAvoy. Nicholas Holt was great in the movie. Ty Sheridan was great in the movie. I mean, there were some people that did a really great job, but Jennifer Lawrence didn't need to be in there. They could have did whatever they want with her back in Apocalypse and not have been it. And moved on with her character and not have her in this movie. You could have just had references that she's around, but she's not there. Um, but I think that I'm not gonna believe the speculations that Disney and Marvel intentionally screwed this movie over so they can try to prop up Captain Marvel. But I do think that there's some weirdness going on, and it just seems to me that why in the hell would they want to screw over one of their biggest franchises? This is their biggest franchise. This is Fox's biggest franchise, and for them to screw it over makes no sense to me. But if you guys want a rating for this movie, I give it a solid 4.5 out of 10. It's below mediocre. The story falls apart for me after after Jean starts to revel in her powers. Like there's a scene where she confronts Magneto and the military, and after that whole point, the movie starts to fall apart. The movie starts to fall apart. Like there, it feels like there's more that can be built up, and but they do it in a way, storytelling wise and editing wise, to try to hide it. But you could tell that there's something bigger that they were trying to build up to, and they got cut, and that makes no sense to me. However, it's 4.5 out of 10 for me. I think that this movie is getting the right amount of flack. I think that the regular audience is going to be okay with this movie, but they're not going to be spellbounded by it. I think this movie is going to be forgotten after a year. I think after Joker comes out, everyone's not going to be talking about it. And in about 4 or 5 years, we're gonna get Marvel's version of X-Men, and everyone's gonna talk about it like it's the best thing since the first X-Men movie by Fox. And I think that that's a shame. I think that James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender and a lot of these actors and actresses deserved a lot better credibility and a lot better of a movie than this one. But they have the right to defend that movie. They have a right to prop that movie up, and they have a right to talk mad trash about Marvel and Disney and hell DC for that matter. It doesn't matter. They can talk about that, talk about all those franchises all they want because they got completely screwed. And I hope that Sophie Turner gets a little bit more play in her acting. Just tone down a little more of the feminism stuff. In my personal opinion, just tone that down a little bit. Just be a great actress, and you're gonna get those roles. That's all that matters. Just be a great actress. You don't need to prop up the feminism type of things because that all that does is it's gonna alienate your audience from not wanting to see to look at you to see how good great of an actress you can be. Because guess what? If you start talking that way, you're the next Brie Larson. And look at how people are talking about Brie Larson. Look how some people are talking about Brie Larson. Some people don't want to see her movies, and a lot of her movies are not making a lot of money unless it has a slapped on Disney slash Marvel label on it. But those are my 2 cents. This is Dark Sides Elite. You guys have a great night. Thank you.